Wrestling is brutal, but sometimes the worst damage doesn't come from the ring. It comes from the wrestlers themselves. From Rob Van Dam ruining his own championship run with one poorly timed arrest.
World champion.
What do you go by?
Rob Van Dam, RVD.
To Sexy Star crossing the line and hurting Rosemary in the middle of a match.
You let her know it's over. Let go, let go.
These are 10 wrestlers who wrecked their own careers. Rob Van Dam.
We are back live here on Monday Night Raw. The WWE title is about to be decided in the long-awaited, in my view, rematch for John Cena. But you gotta hand it for Rob Van Dam for stepping up and making this match possible.
July 2006 should have been the pinnacle of Rob Van Dam's wrestling career. Just weeks after defeating John Cena at ECW One Night Stand to become both WWE champion and ECW champion, RVD was living the dream that every wrestler aspires to achieve. He was the face of the newly revived ECW brand, holding dual championships and positioned as one of WWE's top stars. But on July 1st, 2006, everything changed during what should have been a routine drive from Huntington, West Virginia to Philadelphia. RVD and fellow wrestler Sabu were pulled over for speeding in Hanging Rock, Ohio, and what happened next would alter the trajectory of RVD's career forever. When police detected the smell of marijuana during the traffic stop, a search of their vehicle revealed 18 grams of marijuana and Vicodin pills with RVD, while Sabu had drug paraphernalia and 9 tablets of testosterone. For a wrestler who had openly advocated for marijuana use throughout his career, this arrest couldn't have come at a worse time. He was literally at the peak of his professional success. The consequences were swift and devastating. WWE's wellness policy mandated action for drug possession arrests, and RVD was suspended for 30 days. But the real damage went far beyond a simple suspension. On July 3rd, 2006, just 2 days after his arrest, RVD lost the WWE Championship to Edge in a triple threat match on Monday Night Raw. The following day, he lost the ECW Championship to Big Show, effectively ending his historic dual championship reign. What should have been a career-denning championship reign became a footnote, remembered more for how it ended than the achievement itself. RVD later estimated the arrest cost him $30,000 to $40,000 in NS, but the true cost was immeasurable. His career never recovered to the same level, and his momentum was permanently shattered. RVD's story perfectly demonstrates how personal choices can catastrophically collide with professional success. But if RVD's arrest was a case of bad timing and poor judgment, our next wrestler's downfall came from airing his personal life in the most public way possible. Matt Hardy. Year 2005 delivered one of the most shocking and personal storylines in WWE history. But unlike most wrestling narratives, this one wasn't scripted. It was painfully, devastatingly real. Matt Hardy, one half of the beloved Hardy Boys tag team, found himself at the center of a scandal that would see him read from WWE, only to return months later in one of the most emotionally charged feuds of the decade. The drama began when Hardy, sidelined with a knee injury, discovered that his long-term girlfriend, fellow WWE wrestler Lita, Amy Dumas, was having an affair with his friend and colleague Edge, Adam Copeland. But this wasn't just any affair. It was a betrayal that cut to the very core of professional wrestling's tight-knit community, where wrestlers spend months on the road together, forming bonds that are supposed to transcend the scripted rivalries they portray on television. What transformed this personal tragedy into a career-altering event was Hardy's decision to air his grievances publicly. In an era before Twitter and Instagram dominated social media, wrestlers primarily communicated with fans through personal websites. Hardy chose this platform to publicly detail the betrayal, breaking the sacred rule of kayfabe wrestling's carefully maintained illusion that separates real life from storyline. WWE's response was immediate and harsh. On April 11, 2005, the company released Matt Hardy for unprofessional conduct, citing his public airing of personal matters as disruptive to their scripted storylines. The decision sparked a storm of controversy among wrestling fans, many of whom felt that Hardy was being punished for being the victim of betrayal rather than the perpetrator. What made this situation even more controversial was the apparent double standard. While Hardy was fired for speaking out about the affair, Edge and Lita faced no immediate professional consequences, despite being the parties actually involved in the affair. This perceived unfairness only fueled fan anger, leading to chants of "You screwed Matt" and "We want Matt" at WWE events, directly referencing the real-life situation, rather than whatever storylines WWE was trying to present. The fan backlash was unlike anything WWE had seen in years. A petition petition to reinstate Hardy circulated online, amassing over 15,000 signatures, while crowds continued to disrupt shows with pro-Hardy chants. Faced with this overwhelming fan support and the disruption it was causing to their programming, WWE made an unprecedented decision. They brought Hardy back. On July 11, 2005, Hardy made a dramatic return on Monday Night Raw, attacking Edge and confronting Lita in what would become one of the most personal and emotionally charged feuds in WWE history. The company had essentially decided to turn real-life drama into television content, a risky move that could have backread spectacularly. The feud that followed was compelling precisely because of its authenticity. When Hardy and Edge faced off in the ring, the hatred felt real because it was real. The matches had an intensity that couldn't be manufactured through typical storytelling techniques. Hardy's victory in a steel cage match at Unforgiven 2005 was particularly satisfying for fans who had rallied behind him during his darkest professional moments. However, the personal cost was enormous. All three performers, Hardy, Edge, and Lita, later expressed discomfort with having to relive their personal trauma on television week after week. The line between their real lives and their professional personas had been completely obliterated, creating a psychological burden that went far beyond typical wrestling storylines. While Hardy's problems stemmed from betrayal by those closest to him, our next performer carried one of wrestling's most prestigious family names, yet still managed to burn bridges with everyone he worked with: Teddy Hart.
Sometimes, John, it is in the darkest of times when the most unlikely will become the hero. And tonight, Tread Acid. Teddy Hart.
To the top of the cage.
Oh, look at this. Springboard moonsault.
Taking it to Petey Williams now.
When you carry the Hart family name in professional wrestling, you inherit both incredible expectations and a legacy of excellence that spans generations. Teddy Hart, grandson of the legendary Stu Hart and nephew of Bret and Owen Hart, seemed destined for greatness from the moment he stepped into a wrestling ring. His natural athleticism, high-ying style, and undeniable charisma caught the attention of major promotions early in his career, leading to him becoming the youngest wrestler ever signed by WWE at just 18 years old. But sometimes, having everything going for you can become the very thing that destroys you. Teddy Hart's career became a masterclass in self-sabotage, a painful demonstration of how talent without discipline can lead to spectacular failure. His story isn't just about missed opportunities, it's about burning bridges so thoroughly that an entire industry collectively decided he was more trouble than he was worth. The problems began early in Hart's WWE tenure. Despite being signed, as the youngest wrestler in company history, he was sent home from training camp due to alleged attitude problems, preventing him from ever reaching the main roster. This should have been a wake-up call, a sign that talent alone wouldn't carry him through a professional wrestling career. Instead, it seemed to set the tone for years of erratic behavior that would ding his relationship with the wrestling business. The most infamous incident in Hart's career occurred on November 1st, 2003, during a 10-man cage match in Ring of Honor. What should have been a showcase for Hart's aerial abilities instead became a deaning moment of unprofessionalism. Hart went completely off script, performing dangerous aerial maneuvers from the top of the cage that were not coordinated with other wrestlers, putting multiple performers at risk. To make matters worse, he vomited at ringside during the match, an act that, while attributed to a concussion, appeared deeply unprofessional to those watching. The reaction from his peers was swift and damning. Reports suggest that top wrestlers like AJ Styles, Samoa Joe, Bryan Danielson, Chris Daniels, and Paul London actively protested Hart's presence in Ring of Honor, making it clear that they didn't trust him in the ring with them. When wrestlers of that caliber, respected veterans known for their professionalism, collectively reject working with someone, it sends a message that reverberates throughout the entire industry. But Hart's issues extended far beyond a single match. His tenure with Total Nonstop Action Wrestling ended after a physical altercation with CM Punk at a restaurant, where the two had to be separated by fellow wrestler Sabu. This wasn't a kayfabe incident or a worked shoot. This was real-world unprofessionalism that made Hart a liability for any promotion trying to maintain order in their locker room. The pattern continued across multiple promotions. His time with AAA in Mexico ended when he was suspended indefinitely, reportedly for his own safety, as more than half of the locker room was said to want to harm him due to his behavior. Think about that for a moment. A wrestler became so universally disliked that a wrestling promotion had to suspend him to protect him from his own colleagues. That level of heat isn't something you generate through storylines. It's something you earn through consistently poor behavior. Major League Wrestling became Hart's most recent high-profile opportunity, but even that ended predictably. In December 2019, MLW released him due to disciplinary issues, including no-showing events and making unauthorized appearances at competing promotions like All Elite Wrestling and WWE's NXT. This represented a pattern that had followed Hart throughout his career: the inability to honor commitments and a complete disregard for contractual obligations. If Teddy Hart's downfall came from erratic behavior and unprofessionalism, our next wrestler's promising career was derailed by allegations that emerged just as she was about to make history. Tessa Blanchard.
I don't think Cage expected this level of aggression from Tessa.
Third time, and Brian Cage this time
he caught her. He caught her.
Brian Cage!
Oh, come on.
January 2020 should have been the crowning moment of Tessa Blanchard's wrestling career. As a third-generation wrestler carrying on the family legacy, she was about to make history by becoming Impact Wrestling's RST Female World Champion, breaking barriers and cementing her place as one of the most significant performers of her generation. The controversy began just days before Blanchard's historic championship match at Impact Wrestling's Hard to Kill pay-per-view. Chelsea Green, a prominent WWE NXT star, was among the first to speak out, accusing Blanchard of having bullied and belittled countless female workers throughout the wrestling industry. But Green wasn't alone in her accusations. A wave of wrestlers including Allison Kay, Priscilla Kelly, Renee Michelle, Shauna, and Tania Brooks echoed similar sentiments, describing a pattern of behavior that went far beyond typical locker room tensions. However, it was a specific incident from 2017 that became the most damaging allegation of all. Allison Kay accused Blanchard of spitting in the face of Puerto Rican wrestler Black Rose, La Rosa Negra, and using a racial slur during a Stardom wrestling event in Japan. This wasn't a vague accusation or a he-said-she-said situation. Multiple wrestlers corroborated the story, and Black Rose herself confirmed the incident occurred. What made Black Rose's confirmation particularly powerful was her explanation for initially staying silent. She revealed that she had chosen not to speak about the incident since 2017, preferring to keep her personal life private and trying to move past the experience. It was only the public accusations in January 2020 that prompted her to share her story, lending credibility to the allegations and making it clear that this wasn't a coordinated attack on Blanchard's character. The timing of these revelations could not have been worse for Blanchard's career. Just as she was about to achieve her greatest professional triumph, social media exploded with allegations that painted her as a bully, and most damagingly, as someone who had used racial slurs against a colleague. The contrast between her public image as a trailblazer for women's wrestling and these private allegations created a cognitive dissonance that was impossible to ignore. Blanchard's response to the allegations was consistent but ultimately unconvincing to many observers. She denied the accusations, particularly the use of racial slurs, stating during a media call that, "I've never used a racial slur of any kind. It's just not in my heart. It's not something that I've done. It's not something that I will do." However, her denials were overshadowed by the sheer number of accusers and the specific nature of their claims. Impact Wrestling initially stood by their champion, allowing her to win the World Championship on January 12, 2020, despite the swirling controversy. But the allegations had clearly damaged her standing within the company and the broader wrestling community. Her contract was terminated on June 25, 2020, and she was stripped of the championship, though the company was careful to note that the termination was primarily due to her failure to provide promotional materials during the COVID-19 pandemic rather than the January allegations. Blanchard's downfall came from allegations of misconduct, but our next wrestler faced similar accusations during the Speaking Out movement, accusations that would destroy one of WWE's most promising young stars, Velveteen Dream. In the world of professional wrestling, few characters have been as magnetic, controversial, or ultimately tragic as Patrick Clark Jr., better known by his ring name, Velveteen Dream. His story represents one of the most precipitous falls from grace in recent wrestling history, a tale of immense promise, disturbing allegations, and a career that went from being hailed by legends to becoming virtually radioactive within the industry. When Clark debuted the Velveteen Dream character in WWE's NXT brand, it was immediately clear that something special was happening. His flamboyant, Prince-inspired persona was unlike anything wrestling had seen in years. The character was sexually ambiguous, gender-fluid, and completely captivating, drawing both fascination and praise from fans and industry veterans alike. John Cena himself praised Clark's work, and it seemed like only a matter of time before he would transition to WWE's main roster as a major star. Then, April 2020 arrived, and everything changed forever. The RST allegations surfaced when Clark was accused of sending inappropriate messages and explicit images to minors via Instagram. Instagram. The initial accuser, a 17-year-old named Jacob Schmidt, posted screenshots on social media that allegedly showed Clark sending nude photos and engaging in inappropriate conversations. What made these allegations particularly damaging was that they included audio messages in Clark's distinctive Velveteen Dream voice, lending credibility to claims that many might otherwise have dismissed. Clark's initial response followed a familiar playbook for celebrities facing social media accusations. He denied the allegations on Twitter, suggesting that his accounts might have been compromised and referencing a previous hacking incident from 2018. However, the allegations refused to disappear, and the situation only got worse as more accusers came forward. The #Speaking Out movement, which gained momentum in June 2020, brought renewed attention to Clark's case and introduced additional, even more serious allegations. Independent wrestler Josh Fuller accused Clark of grooming behavior, claiming that when he was 16 and Clark was 19, Clark had promised to help him secure a WWE job if he continued to work on his physique. Fuller's account included disturbing details about video calls where Clark allegedly asked him to remove his shirt and later requested to see his lower body. What made Fuller's allegations particularly compelling was his claim that he was part of a private Instagram group chat where multiple individuals, many underage at the time, reported similar interactions with Clark. This suggested a pattern of behavior rather than an isolated incident, and Fuller didn't hesitate to label Clark as a groomer and a child predator. WWE found itself in an impossible position. The company conducted an internal investigation, with Triple H stating that they took the accusations seriously but found no evidence to substantiate them. WWE gradually phased Clark out of programming, and he was officially released from his contract in May 2021. Clark's legal troubles didn't end with his WWE release. In August 2022, he was arrested twice in Florida on charges including RST-degree battery, trespassing, and drug possession. These incidents, while unrelated to the original allegations, further damaged his reputation and made it clear that his problems extended beyond his wrestling career. It wasn't until January 2024 that Clark Nally addressed the situation publicly. In a detailed interview with Chris Van Vliet, he denied all accusations of misconduct, stating that the alleged conversations and images were fabricated and that the social media accounts making the accusations were no longer active. He maintained his innocence while also issuing a public apology to WWE, Triple H, and Shawn Michaels for the negative publicity his situation had brought to the company. While Clark's career was destroyed by allegations he denied, our next wrestler's problems came from a pattern of controversial behavior and a reputation for being impossible to work with. Austin Aries. Austin Aries possessed undeniable talent as a 3-time Impact World Champion and 6-time X Division Champion, but managed to systematically burn bridges with virtually every major promotion. His reputation for being difficult overshadowed his considerable abilities. The most public example occurred at Impact's Bound for Glory 2018, where after losing the championship, Aries no-sold the niche, stood up, shouted at commentary, ipped to the crowd, and walked out.
There's your business. You happy? Happy? Good, see what that motherfucker do now.
You know, you're not a professional if you have to point out you're a professional. God damn it.
While Aries later claimed it was planned, the incident epitomized his reputation for putting personal interests above company needs. His WWE tenure was similarly contentious. Reports indicated he was unpopular with writing staff, constantly pushing for preferential treatment over established stars. Dave Meltzer confirmed Aries was released because the writing staff didn't have anything for him, indicating his behavior made him unemployable. During the #Speaking Out movement, Aries faced serious sexual harassment allegations from multiple women, including disturbing incidents captured on camera. Though he denied being a sexual predator or abuser, the multiple accusations further damaged his reputation. Consistently described as extremely difficult to work with and a notorious dickhead by industry insiders, Aries became someone nobody wanted to work with, turning his wrestling ability into a cautionary tale about how attitude ultimately matters more than talent. Aries destroyed his career through bad attitude and controversial behavior, but our next wrestler's fall from grace involved a spectacular combination of substance abuse, domestic violence allegations, and a pattern of no-shows that left promoters unable to trust him. Alberto Del Rio.
John Morrison is not an avocado.
Four-time WWE World Champion Alberto Del Rio had everything needed for sustained success, but destroyed it through personal choices and professional unreliability. His downfall began in 2014 when he was read for slapping a WWE employee who allegedly made a racist joke. Substance abuse became public during his second WWE stint when he was suspended for 30 days for a wellness policy violation in August 2016, raising questions about his reliability and contributing to his eventual departure. His relationship with Paige proved professionally damaging. The couple's public disputes and domestic violence allegations led to Del Rio being suspended from Impact Wrestling and stripped of the GFW Global Championship in 2017. In 2021, Del Rio made public threats to expose Paige, demonstrating complete lack of professional judgment. No-shows became another major problem, most damagingly when Del Rio failed to appear at the Bustin' for Autism charity event in 2015 despite receiving deposits, hotel, and airfare. This incident involved vulnerable children expecting to meet a wrestling star, creating particularly bad publicity. The nadir came in 2020 when Del Rio was arrested on sexual assault and kidnapping charges, though the charges were later dropped. The arrest effectively ended any possibility of mainstream wrestling return, completing his transformation from celebrated champion to industry pariah. Del Rio's story shows how multiple personal failures can compound to destroy a career, but our next wrestler's downfall came from lies and dishonesty about performance-enhancing drugs just when he was being positioned for his biggest push. Mr. Kennedy.
Ladies and gentlemen, I am here to remind you that the man who is single-handedly changing Friday nights weighs in tonight at 246 pounds. He hails from Green Bay, Wisconsin.
Ken Anderson's Mr. Kennedy character seemed destined for WWE Championship gold, with his unique microphone-dropping entrance and natural heel presence catching management's attention. Industry insiders suggested major plans, potentially including a WWE Championship reign, making his downfall particularly tragic. The first crack appeared during the 2007 Signature Pharmacy scandal, which linked Kennedy to illegal steroid purchases. Rather than handling it quietly, Kennedy publicly denied using steroids, creating credibility problems that damaged his standing with management. The situation worsened when Kennedy actually failed a WWE drug test, providing concrete evidence contradicting his public denials. This wasn't about allegations, it was documented, proof that destroyed any remaining credibility with management and made his public statements about avoiding performance-enhancing drugs appear misleading at best. Kennedy was released in 2009, ending what had been considered one of wrestling's most promising careers. The release resulted directly from Kennedy's choices and their consequences, not from lack of talent or fan interest. His story represents one of wrestling's great what-if scenarios, a performer who seemed destined for greatness but destroyed his own career through dishonesty and poor decisions. Kennedy's lies about steroid use cost him his WWE future, but our next wrestler's substance abuse problems led to what wrestling legend Jim Cornette called the most expensive hangover in wrestling history: Buddy Landell.
Let me tell you something, the NWA, Jim Crockett Promotions, and the Nature Boy Buddy Landell are synonymous with greatness.
Buddy Landell possessed everything needed for wrestling's superstardom: natural charisma, exceptional ability, and a character that could have denned an era. In 1985, he joined Jim Crockett Promotions, positioned as a direct rival to Ric Flair. Their July 31st, 1985 match at Raleigh's Dorton Arena broke an attendance record previously set by Elvis Presley, proving Landell was a genuine draw. But Landell began struggling with drug and alcohol addiction in 1985, problems that would plague him for years. The Deaning incident occurred when he overslept a crucial TV taping due to heavy drug use, missing what should have been a major advancement in his Flair feud. Jim Cornette immortalized this as the $150,000 hangover, representing not just immediate lost income, but the cascading impact of missing such a crucial moment. Landell was read from JCP after winning the NWA National Championship at Starrcade 1985, precisely because his substance issues made him too risky to employ. Landell later admitted, "I was 23, cocky, and had $100,000 in the bank. I didn't see that I had any problems," perfectly encapsulating the mindset that led to his downfall. His missed opportunity occurred during JCP's golden era, when he could have been positioned as a major star, but substance abuse cost him everything. Landell's career was destroyed by missing one crucial night due to substance abuse, but our final wrestler committed an act so heinous that it instantly made her persona non grata throughout the entire wrestling industry. Sexy Star.
Sometimes I like slim, sometimes I like thick, sometimes I combine and I like them slick. Them slick probably went over your head. Couldn't lay up.
Professional wrestling is built on absolute trust between performers who literally put their lives in each other's hands. On August 26, 2017, at ATA's Triple Mania Hexe 5, that trust was shattered when Sexy Star committed an act so egregious, it actively ended her wrestling career. During a four-way championship match, Sexy Star applied an armbar on Rosemary to win, but after Rosemary tapped out, continued applying pressure, causing a suspected triceps tear. This wasn't miscommunication. It appeared completely intentional, violating wrestling's most fundamental principle.
You let her know it's over. Let go, it's over. You're the winner.
Wait, she's refusing to let go.
She could get disqualified, Kate.
Rosemary's powerful Twitter statement left no doubt about what occurred. If you take liberties with someone's body when they are giving it to you and trusting you to keep them safe, you are not tough. You are an and you don't belong in this business. The wrestling community's response was unanimous and devastating. Cody Rhodes tweeted, "Sexy Star will never set foot in one of my locker rooms," while Road Dogg called for blacklisting her. Joey Ryan emphasized, "If you violate that trust, you're not one of us." Consequences were immediate. WrestleCade canceled her appearance, AAA stripped her championship, and she was actively blackballed industry-wide. Her attempts to defend her actions as character work were universally rejected, and Rosemary directly refuted her claims, calling her a liar. Sexy Star's career destruction was complete, self-inflicted, and utterly preventable, serving as the ultimate cautionary tale about respecting the trust that professional wrestling demands. If you enjoyed watching this video, then go ahead and click on any of the cards on your screen for more.